Alright, hello. This is Yzma's strategy guide video. This is the in-depth version, so this is going to be the long-winded explanation of each card and the objective, as well as at the end I'll go into my strategy for playing as her. Sometime after this one is uploaded, I will upload just a strategy guide version that's not in-depth. That'll be a rather fast one, where it just goes into my strategy. That one assumes you know what the cards do, so I won't be doing much explanation into what each card does and how they can be used. I'll just be going into how I use them and for what purpose. Alright, so to start, Yzma's deck has 16 fate cards instead of 15. This is so the way she plays is different than other characters. You set up 4 different fate piles, so to split it up evenly you need 16 instead of 15. Otherwise you'd have 4, 4, 4, and 3. So with the extra fate card you have 4, 4, 4, and 4. So yeah, let's get into the objective. Alright, so Yzma's objective is to defeat Kuzco using Kronk. So it's relatively simple. Kuzco is a fate card hero, and Kronk is a ally. So yep, that's basically all I have to do. Now Kronk is not strong enough to defeat Kuzco. Kuzco is 7 strength and Kronk is 6. So you can't defeat Kuzco by just using Kronk. You need to have some extra help. So you can either put the dagger on Kronk, which adds an extra strength so he can just defeat Kuzco alone, or you get an Imperial Guards down as well. Then you can combine the two to defeat Kuzco, as long as you're using Kronk to vanquish. You can't just use Imperial Guards. But yeah, so that's the objective. Now I'm going to break the board down so that you know what each location is and how it works. Alright, so to start off, we have the palace. It has a gain 2 power location, move an item or ally action, play a card action, and a vanquish action. This is the good one because it allows you to vanquish. So this one's pretty good to keep open and to go back to every now and then, especially because it gives you 2. Next we have Pacha's house. This one allows you to play a card, gain a power, fate, and move an item or ally. So that's also another good location. This one's always good for fating because the fate never gets blocked. The jungle is a very important space. It allows you to play 2 cards, discard, and gain 3 power. So this one's really good, especially when you're trying to search for certain cards in your deck. Yzma does that a lot. So going here, being able to gain 3 power and discard as well as play 2 cards allows you to just sift through a lot of your deck really quickly. And lastly we have Mudka's Meat Hut. You just gain a power, fate, play a card, and discard. So these 2 locations are very good to just bounce back and forth from, especially early game, to discard and get all of the cards you need. And this location is especially helpful when you're trying to play cards to search through your fate decks to find Kuzco. So that's the board. It's a very standard board, but each location has their benefits, really. Okay, so Yzma has a special setup. So you have 16 fate cards, and unlike all other characters that just have a pile, Yzma is different. She has it split. She splits it into piles of 4 per location. So when you're setting up Yzma, you are making 4 separate piles, one above every location, and this is to emulate the movie where Yzma's searching for Cusco. You don't know where Cusco is, but you know he's in one of these 4 piles, and you need to search through each one and be able to play him from there. So it can be very difficult to find him. It can be very easy. It's all dependent on how lucky you are. But here's the thing, when someone fates you, instead of drawing 2 cards, they pick up the entire pile. So at times you can be fated with a choice of 4 cards to choose from, which could be very bad or very good, because if they pick up this pile, whatever they do can only be played to this one. So if they pick up a hero and they want to play him here, they can't, because the hero from this pile can only go to this location. So if there's a location that you do not want to be blocked, like let's say I didn't want this one to be blocked, I want to get my 2 power, I can smash it with a hammer, I'll go into that a little later, to discard 2 cards and discard them. And then they have 2 cards to choose from. Or I can play that card again and discard these. Now there's no pile here. There's no pile here, they can't fate me here. They have to choose from any other location. So this spot is safe. These will always be open. These 2 will always be open because they can't fate me here. So that's a bonus thing with Yzma, is if you get rid of a pile, they can't fate you at that location. So that's really good. You can also strategically discard cards from each one that you know are not helpful to you, or you know that are dangerous for you, so you can purposely get rid of them. Or if you just don't want a location to get blocked, you just get rid of it by discarding them. So that's basically what you are going for with her objective and her setup. So yeah, there are certain cards that basically, when a pile is gone, there are certain cards that take the remaining cards, shuffle them together, and then split them evenly among all 4. So if you get rid of these 2 piles, and one of these cards shuffles them all together, you're going to end up with 2 cards at each location. So it's like that, and if every single card gets played, obviously you would shuffle them back in and then redeal them. So it's always good to thin it out so that they can't fate you at certain locations, but it's also not good to get rid of every card, because then everything comes back and all the work you did getting rid of them all just gets reset. So your main goal is to search them for Cusco. If you don't find Cusco, move on, because wasting your time in another pile playing cards at that pile will get you nowhere, especially when Cusco's somewhere else. Next up, I'm going to be going into each individual card and what they all do. Alright, so starting with allies, we have Kronk and Imperial Guards. So you get 3 Imperial Guards and 1 Kronk. So you can defeat Cusco using Kronk and Imperial Guards, or Kronk and a dagger, but you cannot just use 3 Imperial Guards, because part of the objective is Kronk needs to be used. So Kronk's ability is, when used to defeat a hero, he's not discarded. So that's very helpful. When Kronk is moved, you may put 1 power from the put 1 power from the supply on him. When there are 3 or more power on him, put him at the top of your board. He is treated as a hero. So how this works is, if Kronk is here and you put power on him, so if you move him once, he gains a power. You move him again, gains a power. Then if you move him a 3rd time, he gains a power. And once 3 power is on him, he gets put up and is treated like a hero. the only way to get him back is to play Right Hand Man, which finds him, discards all the power on him, and then puts him back in your hand. This is the easiest way to get him back. Otherwise, you would have to vanquish him, which actually discards him, which is not something we want to do because then we would have to search the entire deck over again or play Right Hand Man. So, try not to let this happen to him. There's also other cards too, like the Path That Rocks, that allows you to discard all the power on Kronk, which is especially helpful if he's at 2. But to avoid putting as much power on him as possible, I start by placing him in one of the middle slots, so that as I search, I can only move him 2, or I can move him 1 to the location where he could be, instead of putting him here. Because if I put him here, and Cusco's here, I have to move him all the way over, which is 1, 2, 3, which would make him a hero. So I don't want to do that, so I always put him either at Pacha's house or the jungle to start. So yeah, that's Kronk. I'll be using him more in examples later on when I go into the effects, because they all really affect him. Alright, next we have Imperial Guards. Very simple. Cost 2 power, have 3 strength. They have nothing else. You get 3 of them. Just extra strength, I guess. Nothing too special. So yeah, you can use them to defeat heroes, or you can use them as extra strength when you're defeating with Kronk. But these guys do get discarded when you use them, so I generally don't vanquish with them unless I really need to. I always vanquish with Kronk because he doesn't get discarded. So yeah, that's about it for these ones. Now for items, we just have one item in this entire deck. It's Dagger. When Dagger is played, attach it to an ally. That ally gets +1 strength. When Dagger would be discarded, put it in your hand instead. Very straightforward. In Villainous, there's a million items that are just like this. Jafar has some called Scimitar's. There's other heroes that have, or allies, other villains that have that type of card. So it's nothing really special, but generally when you're trying to defeat Cusco, you want to have Dagger and Kronk so that you can put them on him, and then he can defeat Cusco in one hit instead of having to enlist the help of Imperial Guards. So yeah, very straightforward. That's the only item you get. Everything else is effects and conditions. Alright, now for items, Alright, now for effects, you have an absolute load of them. This is what most of your deck is. So to start, you have Right Hand Man. Right Hand Man, you find Kronk, discard all power on him, put him in any attached items into your hand. So if Kronk is turned into an ally, or a hero, I mean, and he has the item, you can play Right Hand Man to take him, put him back in your hand, the dagger, and him come back. So that is a way to get him back if he turns into a hero, but you would have to use 4 power again to replay both cards. So this is really a last resort, or if you get this early game, you can play it and it actually allows you to search for him in the deck or search for him in the discard pile. So that's actually helpful. Next we have the Path That Rocks. You discard all power on Kronk and then gain that much power. So if Kronk has 2 power on him, this card just allows you to take these 2 and add it to your power. So you just gain this. It's pretty good, especially when you moved him, because it's free and it just basically just gives you more power. So if you have this in your hand, and you know Cusco's not at that location, I just move him and then play it just to gain the power. And it's another good way, so if he's at 2 and you have to move him again, you just can take the power to use later, and you reset him so that you can move him again. So these are generally useful. I use them a lot, so when you get this card, I'd say keep it. But if you're desperately still searching for Cusco, I would say get rid of it then. But yeah, pretty useful card. Eavesdrop allows you to choose one of your fate decks, look at all the cards, shuffle and return them. So when you play this, this is the card that you play to search each deck for Cusco, because your goal is to find him. So Eavesdrop, I would pick up a deck, I would look through it. So I have Chaka, Path of Righteousness, Peasant, and Beware the Groove. So after seeing this, I don't see Cusco, so I know that he's not in this pile. So I shuffle him, and then I return him. So you have that, you have 3 of them, so these are good because you can search each deck, and if he's not in either of these 3 that you used with this, you know for sure he's in there. But yeah, so that's basically what you do with this card. Very simple. Alright, next we have Smash It with a Hammer. Choose one of your fate decks, reveal 2 random cards, and discard them. So you have 3 of these again. These cards are helpful if you are looking to just thin down some fate decks. So you know for sure this one doesn't have him. So I would play Smash It with a Hammer, choose this deck, reveal 2 random cards. So I can choose this one, reveal them, and I can discard them. So now they're discarded. Now this deck is thinned down to 2. And then if I really wanted to, I can play Smash It with a Hammer again, because there's 3 of them. And I can just get rid of this. So now when someone fates me, they can't fate me on this spot. And so now I know, okay, Cusco's in one of these 3. But yeah, this is just a good one if you need to thin out some fate decks so that people can't fate you in certain spots, or if there's some fate cards you do not like sitting in certain spots. However, if you know where Cusco is, it's not safe to use Smash It with a Hammer on that one, because you have a chance of discarding Cusco, which means you basically reset and you have to shuffle all of your decks together, even the discard, and start all over. So you got to be very careful when you're using this not to pick the deck that has Cusco in it, because that can end badly. Another good card is After Them. You choose one of your fate decks, reveal all of the cards, play all revealed heroes to that location, shuffle and return the rest. So this could end badly. You could accidentally reveal a wrong lever, which just cuts your power in half, or you can accidentally play heroes that you don't need to yourself. So this one's a very important one, that you know where Cusco is before you use it, because the goal is to play all revealed heroes to that location. So if you know where Cusco is, you play this, you basically play Cusco, which is what you want. But if you play Chaka or Tipo to your realm, you can end up making it harder for yourself, because you have to defeat them too before you can even defeat Cusco. Alright, so finish the job. Move an ally to any location that has a hero. Very straightforward. Alright, so finish the job. Move an ally to any location that has a hero. Very straightforward. This allows you to move Kronk from one side of the board to the other, but only put 1 power on him. So if you mess up and Kronk ends up being all the way on the other side of the board, you can move him so that he's on the other side, and you only put 1 power on him. So these are helpful. You could also use these to move a Imperial Guard to Kronk's location if you need extra strength to defeat Cusco. Alright, Beauty Sleep. This is probably the most complicated card on this. In this, basically, once you move, if you are looking to play this card, it has to be the only thing you can do. So, if you go to any location and you're looking to play this card, you can't pick up power, you can't discard any cards, you can't play any other card before this one, you can't move anybody. This has to be the one thing you do on your turn. It can only be played as the first and only action performed on your turn. So once you move to a new location, you play this. That's it. You end your turn. That's all you do. So this card, by playing it and spending 1 turn sleeping, you can gain 2 power to give you a head start. You can draw 2 cards, so you end up with 6 cards in your hand, and you get to move a hero to an adjacent space. So having this extra power at the start of your turn means that you can even go somewhere else, gain 3 power, play 2 of the 6 cards that you have, and you can also use it to move like Chaka or Tipo from some place that doesn't have an ally to some place that does. So this card is good. However, it really depends on what you're doing, because if you have Cusco out, you don't really need to, because it's not really something that's necessary. However, if you don't have Cusco out, playing this could actually be helpful, because then it allows you to draw 2 cards and you can end up with 6 cards, which those extra 2 cards could end up giving you something like this or something like that, which could help you get him out. So this is always a good one to play. But if you're in a rush and basically like you have 2 turns left, I wouldn't play it, because it could be slow and you can end up wasting your turn when you need to fate somebody. So be very careful. Next we have Cruel Irony. If there's an ally at your location, choose an effect from the discard pile, pay its cost, and play it. This one's good if you have Kronk somewhere and you move to his location. This allows you to just pick up an effect and play it. So I usually pick up after them, because I get to basically throw all heroes at a location out there, or I can pick up Smash It with a Hammer to just thin out the fate decks. Or you can even use it to pick up Eavesdrop to look through another fate deck. But you get 2 of them. So this is just always like I wouldn't say it a coincidence, but just like it's just a good one. If you are planning on going somewhere that has an ally, I would just save it, because it allows you to just use another effect basically that you don't have in your hand. So this one could be good. Lastly, Fake Funeral. Gain 1 power for each hero in your fate discard pile, up to 5 power total. So if you are playing after them everywhere and you're using Kronk to kill everyone, late game this could be helpful, because you can gain up to 5 power. Or if you're getting decks full of heroes that you don't need and you just smash them with a hammer, you can basically just get rid of heroes and then play Fake Funeral to just gain more power. So Yzma has a lot of cards that allow her to gain power, which is especially helpful when a lot of her cards, like Eavesdrop after them, and smash it with a hammer are also expensive. Conditions: we have superiority. During their turn, if another player targets you with a fate action, you may play superiority. You choose which of your fate decks they must look at. This could be very good. If you have it in your hand and they're fading you and you know where Cusco is, you can pick the one that has Cusco because chances are they might have to play him. So these two are really good. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if there's any other decks that you're afraid of, this is helpful because you can basically make it so they can't pick from it. So these ones are pretty good. However, if you're looking for Cusco, get rid of it because if you don't know where he is, there's no point to choosing which one. Especially when you can have at times 2 extra cards that could be helpful because you can end up with 2 of these in your hand at one time. Lastly, Ferocity. During their turn, if another player defeats a hero with a strength 3 or more, you may play Ferocity, defeat a hero with strength 3 or less. This one's not very good. This is just circumstantial at best. Like if you have Chico or Chica or Tipo in your realm, and you know someone's going to vanquish in their next turn, you can keep it. But if someone doesn't have any heroes out or they're not even looking at vanquishing, I would get rid of it because there's no point to having this be a slot in your hand, which is restricting you from having maybe some better cards like After Them or Eavesdrop. So if you draw this card and someone will vanquish next turn and you have someone to vanquish that's 3 or less, I mean, go for it. But if you can tell that no one's going to vanquish anybody, get rid of it because it'll be a waste of a space in your hand if that's the case. Alright, so for fate cards, our first hero is Cusco. If Cusco is discarded, shuffle him and all of Yzma's fate decks together. Deal all cards as evenly as possible to form 4 new fate decks. So if you are looking for him and you accidentally smash it with a hammer and discard him, you're going to end up having to shuffle all of your decks together and reset your progress in finding him because he will move to a different location and it'll get harder for you to find him. So the best option to find him would be to eavesdrop first, find where he is with eavesdrop, and then play After Them to play him. Because smashing with a hammer could be dangerous, especially when you're chancing getting rid of him. But yeah, he's got 7 strength. He's the hero that you want out, so yep. Our next 2 are Tipo and Chaka. These 2 go together because they both have the same ability. Yzma cannot defeat other heroes if Tipo or Chaka is in the realm, so if Tipo's in the realm, you have to defeat him first. If Chaka's in the realm, you have to defeat her first. If they're both in the realm, then you have to defeat them both first before you can defeat anyone else. So these are like Rafiki from Lion King, so just make sure that these are the ones you kind of want to smash with a hammer, and if you don't, then just make sure you have people to vanquish them with. Next is Pacha. When Pacha is played, you may shuffle 2 of Yzma's fate decks together, deal the cards as evenly as possible to replace all the shuffled decks. So, this one is bad only if they play it on you. If you play After Them and he's played, it says you may, so you don't have to do this to yourself. But if someone else plays this on you, I would try not to give them an idea of where Cusco is, and if you know where he is but you haven't brought him out yet and Pacha's used, and they shuffle Cusco with someone else or some other pile, then you have to be careful on which one you look at because he can be in either pile. So this one's used kind of like a distraction, but it's not as bad as some of the other cards in here because of what his ability is. But yeah, he's got 4 strength, easily vanquishable with Kronk. So yeah, just make sure that he doesn't get played by someone else, but you can smash him with a hammer. Alright, so Chicha, if Yzma moves to Chicha's location, she immediately loses 2 power. That's about it. Just if she's played, I would vanquish her before moving to a location. Getting rid of her with a hammer would be best, but yeah, if she's played. So this one's kind of dangerous, just stay away from it. Next we have Bucky. Kronk cannot be used to defeat Bucky. Very simple ability. He can only be defeated with an Imperial Guards. So just have one of these out at all times just to be sure, because you never know if you need him to vanquish Cusco or if you need him to vanquish someone like Bucky. So just keep an Imperial Guards out, and Bucky's really easy to beat with only 2 strength, so not really too scary. Next we have Peasant. When Peasant is played, you may choose a hero from Yzma's Fate discard pile and shuffle that hero into one of her Fate decks. This is a very simple one. If you have any one of these in your discard pile, can't be Cusco, but if you have any one of these in your discard pile, and Peasant is played by someone else, not you, they're going to probably pick Pacha, Tipo, or Chaka, because these ones will prevent you from being able to vanquish anyone else, and this one shuffles decks together. But they can't choose Cusco because if he's discarded, he goes back into the piles. So if Cusco gets in the discard pile, every single card gets thrown back up into the top. So this one won't be sticking or won't be staying in the discard pile long enough to use the Peasant on him. So yeah, if you play it on yourself with after them, it says you may, so you don't have to choose a hero. So that's a good thing. So if you play Peasant on yourself, it's totally fine. He's just someone with 2 strength at that point. But if someone else plays it, just be careful of what they can shuffle into a deck. Alright, so for effects, we have Wrong Lever. When Wrong Lever is revealed, you must immediately play it. Yzma loses half her power rounded up. So, revealing is when you have played after them, or smash it with a hammer. So, choose one of your Fate decks, reveal all the cards, play all revealed heroes. So if you reveal all of the cards in a pile, and you have some heroes and Wrong Lever, when you reveal them, you have to use Wrong Lever. You must immediately play it, and then you can play these on yourself. So you have 3. So you would have 3 heroes, and you would lose half your power. If revealed with Smash with a Hammer, you would obviously play it first. So in Smash It with a Hammer, you discard 2 cards. So if you picked up these 2 to discard, you would have to play this one, do it to yourself, and then discard them both. So it's just one to be careful of, because these are the 2 with reveal. Eavesdrop allows you to look at the cards, but because you're looking at them, you're not revealing them. Also, when someone is fading you and they're looking at the cards, that's not revealing. So if they pick up a pile to fate you and it says when wrong lever is revealed, they tend to think that they have to play it because it says must immediately play it, but they're not revealing the card. They're just looking at them to play them. The only time they're revealed is with these two cards. But they can still play these on you. If they pick it up and think this is the best option, they can still play it on you. So having a lot of power can end up go wrong because you can end up losing a lot with this card. Alright, next we have Beware the Groove. Choose a hero from Yzma's Fate discard pile. Shuffle that hero and up to 2 of Yzma's Fate decks together. Deal the cards as evenly as possible to replace the shuffled Fate decks. So, with this one, it's a lot like Peasant's Ability, where you choose a hero from Yzma's Fate discard pile and shuffle it in up to 2 of Yzma's Fate decks. And you shuffle them together. So this one's a step up from Peasant. This one you shuffle it into a deck. This one you shuffle it and 2 decks together. So you would grab a hero from your discard pile, shuffle it into 2 decks together, and then you would deal them back evenly. So this one's a little bit more dangerous, and it's worse that there's 3 of them, but smashing it with a hammer is also a possibility to do. So just keep in mind that if you get rid of these, that's a good thing. And again, they can't shuffle in Cusco, so they can only shuffle in the other heroes. Next, we have Path of Righteousness. If Cusco is in Yzma's realm, place 2 power on Kronk. Otherwise, place 1 power on Kronk. So this is another one that is dangerous. This can end up being very bad if you have 2 power on Kronk and someone fates you and they get this card. They can end up turning him into a hero, making you need to get him back with Right Hand Man. So what you would need to do is, if you know these cards are out there, but you know that you don't have the means of getting rid of them, try your best to get rid of the power on Kronk so that you don't have to worry about these turning him to a hero. If you see these are out there and you know that you can't get rid of them, get rid of the power on Kronk so that he doesn't turn into a hero. But if you have the means of getting rid of these, you can get rid of these and have the possibility of not really needing to get rid of the power on Kronk. The last card on the run, this is the worst fate card that you can get. Choose a hero in Yzma's realm, shuffle that hero and all Yzma's fate decks together, deal the cards as evenly as possible to form 4 new fate decks. So, if you have Cusco out and they play this card, they'll take him and shuffle him back into 4 piles. So, sure, you can have some cards discarded. But the remaining cards will all be shuffled together, and you suddenly won't know where Cusco is. You won't know where wrong levers are. You won't know where these cards are. So it basically just restarts your game. So the best option for you is to smash it with a hammer. I mean, that's pretty much my option for everything, but it gives you the best chances of staying away from this. That's the Fate deck. Now I'm going to get into the strategy that I use when playing. Alright, so for the strategy, what I like to do is to straight up just go for a location that allows me to play the most cards and discard. So I go to the jungle first as my first step, and that is because my goal is to find as many of these cards as possible. My goal is to find as many of these 3 types of cards as I can, because my main objective right now is to find where Cusco is. So I'm looking through every deck with Eavesdrop, I am getting rid of cards from decks that don't have Cusco, and I'm playing heroes from where he is. So if I start with these in my hand, this is a good start. If you don't, discard almost everything. I say almost everything because if you have either of these, don't discard him because you need him. She can get placed, or the dagger can get placed on the Kronk, making him strong enough to defeat Cusco on his own, and this can be used to defeat Tipo or Chaka without having to move Kronk. So if you start with any of these in your hand, save them. But if it's if it's anything else, just get rid of it because there's really no need for anything this early on. Like you don't need to discard any power on Kronk right away. You have no heroes in your discard pile, so just get rid of it. These conditions won't help you turn 2, so stay away from that. There's no heroes out, you don't need this. You don't have any effects in your discard pile yet, so you can't use this. So, really, discard everything. If you get this card though, you could play this first turn, so you can find Kronk from your deck right away. So I'd say if you find this one actually, you can keep this one. Because this one could be very good. Actually, if you have nothing else to play, play this one because it allows you to find Kronk and then you can use Kronk to vanquish some things later on. So this is a good card to start with as well. Beauty Sleep could work, but you don't really need it this early on because you don't need to move a hero, and wasting an entire turn using Beauty Sleep could end up making you behind. What I've noticed is that there's a window to find Cusco. Like with every game there's like an X amount of turns to find Cusco, and if you don't find him in that amount of time, you're almost guaranteed to not win. So it's all about speed with Yzma. You want to find Cusco as quickly as you can, and by doing that you have to sacrifice and get rid of a lot of the cards right off the bat so that you can sift through your deck for eavesdrops, after thems, and hammers. So let's say I started with some of these. I'm going to eavesdrop and just look through them. Like right now, I've got absolutely nothing that I need in here. So this is a good candidate for smashing it with a hammer. However, there are cards like Wrong Lever in here, which can be dangerous. But yeah, so I'm just going to look for eavesdrop, and I'm just going to look through every deck. Like let's say I choose this one now. He's not in here. So I move on to the next one. Albeit this might not be in the same turn. But that's essentially what you're doing. Is you're going through the you're going through the decks. You're going through your deck, finding eavesdrops, and then looking through those. And if you find decks that you don't like, smashing it with a hammer. We have 2 cards. Discard them. However, I just lost half my power. But you're trying to thin down the decks. Like if I use 2 smash it with the hammers, now they have to pick from these 3. I know he's not in this one, but he could be in here or here. So now there's 2/3 chance, or there's still a 1/3 chance that you find him. If someone else fates you, there's still a chance that they grab the deck with him. And if you know which one he is in, play after them. That'll play all heroes from this pile on me. If you get 2 after thems, and you know that he's not in this one or this one, let's say you played after them to this pile first, and you go, well, Kronk's not, or Kuzco's not in there, but he is in this one. So you can play the next one to do this to him. Now, yes, this is 5 heroes on your thing now. But you have Kronk who can vanquish very easily. So Kronk, he can vanquish without getting discarded. So really, the only one you need to discard right now is this one. So you get rid of this one. Now these two don't matter. These two don't matter. So now you can use finish the job. You just pick them up and move them over here, and then you can vanquish Kuzco and be done. Sure, that'll put a power on him, but that's basically like, it doesn't matter if you have heroes everywhere. Really, the only ones you need to get rid of are Tipo and Chaka, because those are the ones that really mess with who you can vanquish. And so where I put Kronk is really important too. I always place him here or here. I never play him on the edges. And this for the reason of this situation right here. Kuzco's all the way over here. Kronk's right here. Let's say my opponent's close to winning, so I need to make my move to get to Kuzco first. I don't have anything. I don't have any of this. And I don't have any of this. So I need to move Kronk single-handedly all the way down. What this is doing is I'm moving to Pacha's house, 1 power. Move him to the jungle, 2 power. Move him to Mudka's meat hut to finally be with Kuzco, 3 power. He's now a hero. I just lost the game. So how to not lose that way is very simple. You play him at Pacha's house or the jungle, and you don't move him until you know where Kuzco is. Because if Kuzco's here, move him once. If Kuzco's here, move him once. It's only 1 power on him, not a big deal. If Kuzco's right here, move him twice, you still win. Because he's not a hero yet. So, placing him here, it's either just a matter of 1 move or 2 moves instead of 3. So that's a very important note to have when you're playing Kronk, is to make sure that you place him at the jungle or Pacha's house. Because anywhere you go from these 2 middle points is only a maximum of 2 moves away. So you don't end up placing him at the palace and having to move all the way over to Mudka's meat hut. If I didn't know where Kuzco was, I didn't know, I would keep looking. I'd be moving myself back and forth, all these different locations, getting the cards, discarding what I need, playing all the cards I need, to look through these decks. And I will then take the pile that I know it is, play it on myself with after them, and then only then will I move Kronk and then vanquish. And you can do this best by going to the palace, because it has a vanquish and a move. So if you played him at the jungle and he was here at Mudka's meat hut, you move here, move him over 1 with this, vanquish, you win the game. Assuming that he has the dagger or this with him. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to try and simplify it. So that's what you can do with that. This one's also really good if you have Kronk down at the jungle or Pacha's house, and you have this card, this is really good because this basically can turn into an after them, smash it with a hammer, or a eavesdrop. And it's all if you're with a hit. So if you're here, you can play this, and you can gain a fourth after them, or fourth smash it with a hammer, or a fourth eavesdrop, if you've played them all. So this can be really helpful. Now the reason I don't move him until I know where he is because if I move him here, if I go, no, I want him to be at Pacha's house, because I want to be able to use a cruel irony at this location. Yes, you are able to do that, but now if Cusco's here, you have to move him 1, 2, which turns him into a hero. So I don't move him until I know where he is. So that's essentially the strategy. The only other thing that can be best explained with the board out is Beauty Sleep. If I want to use that card, I need to move and play it. That's the only thing I can do. If I go here, I can't collect 3. I can't discard. I can only play this card. And then my turn goes to the other person. And then when it's your turn again, before you move, you can gain 2 power, draw 2 cards, and move a hero. So this can come in clutch at some points. Because let's say you just need one more after them because you know where he is, but he's not in your hand after you play this. This card could end up drawing the 2 cards that you need, because one of them could be this. You can end up drawing this and being able to then move here, play after them, get Cusco out, move Kronk, and then vanquish Cusco. So this can certainly be a very helpful card, but it's really only towards the end of the game that it's helpful. Early game, there's no point because you don't even get to do the hero part of it, and the hero can also be helpful. Like Beauty Sleep can save you if you put Kronk all the way over here, because you can move 2 and then you can play Beauty Sleep and then move Cusco over so that you don't have to move him again and turn him into a hero. But yeah, that's basically the strategy with this. It's just a lot of location placement, and then knowing when to use stuff like this and that. Just remember that Kronk can't do it on his own. He needs a dagger or an Imperial Guards with him to be able to vanquish Cusco, because his strength is 7. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this strategy guide. Yeah. If you have any questions or need any clarification or need any more information on a certain card or my strategy, I can go into depth in the comment section. So yeah, thanks for watching.